Hey everyone, it is Nordic here, and welcome back to yet again another Tier Rank Tuesday, where today we're going to be tier ranking how every team has done this season so far. Obviously, this is going to be based off of mostly my expectations, but I will factor in some of the other opinions that I've seen from people around the hockey realm as well. But this should be pretty straightforward with what this is going to be. Now, I want to start off by thanking you guys for the support in our last 3 tier rank Tuesdays. You know, I'm a relatively small channel. I don't usually get views that are this good between these two especially. This is a little bit more common, getting around a 700 view video, but still, it's pretty awesome to think that many people are watching and viewing my stuff. And I do read all the comments, and I do realize there are some things that I definitely can improve on. And this is only the 4th one we've done, so I know that there's a lot of improvement that can come from me for sure. But I did just want to say thank you for the support in the last 3 tier rank Tuesdays. But anyways, let's just get straight into what we're going to get into here today. So these are the 6 tiers that we're going to roll with for this one today. We're starting off with Killing It, which is you're doing incredible, you're exceeding my expectations, you're playing awesome, you're playing great. It may be expected, it may be unexpected, but you're still playing very well. You're playing good, you aren't like insane, but you're still solid. Decent, you're like in the middle, you're like between good and not so good. Not so good should be like, I'm kind of concerned with your start this year. And been terrible is kind of going to be where like 4 teams are, I'm going to be honest with you, where I have them ranked. Now, one thing that I did differently from when I did this in the last 3 weeks is I actually did the tier list before. Now, usually I would do like research, but I would kind of do this on the fly. I would have stats put up and all that, obviously, but I would kind of do the tier list on the fly. Instead, I actually did it before. I spent about, I would say, maybe an hour and a half, maybe not that long, but kind of looking at where I thought these teams would go, and I've obviously been thinking about it since I came up with this idea a couple days ago. But regardless, I have my list pulled up here right next to me. We're going to go through all of it here, but we're going to start off with the Anaheim Ducks. We're going to go in alphabetical order, as you can tell. That's how the logos are. Anaheim, they have a 10-10 record at the time of recording of this video. We're gonna base it off of standings, with how my stats are gonna be. I'm not gonna that's not gonna be my main thing, but again, Anaheim Ducks, 25th in the NHL, 10-10-3 for 23 points. I gotta say, they're indecent. At least at this point through the season, I would like to think that they have had a good start. For a team like them, who I didn't really expect to be that good at the Thanksgiving break, we're a few days into December and they're 500. I think that is impressive and shows how much this team has come. And I will say this, a lot of it is Lucas Dostal. I'm not blind. I can see that a lot of it is Lucas Dostal kind of putting the team on his back, and I see it. I totally see it, and I understand that the underlying numbers with this team, they may not be that great, but I still think that maybe Dostal can get this team close to the playoffs, and seeing guys like Frank Vatrano, Cutter Gauthier, and all of them playing pretty well, I think that definitely exceeds expectations for me. I wouldn't put him in playing good, because I still think there's things they can improve on, but I think they have been decent so far this year. Okay, next up, the Boston Bruins. The Bruins are a little bit of an interesting one. They are currently 16th in the standings right now. They are 12-11-3 for 27 points. Again, I'm going to be honest, it's indecent right now for me. But if we did this before the Montgomery hiring, they're down here. I just think that with Boston, for me, I like what I'm seeing under Joe Sacco, but I'm still not seeing the consistency that I want to see with this team. I'm still not seeing that so far. Again, they have won games under him, and I think they've been better under him than they have under Montgomery, which who could have seen that coming? But I think that overall, like, I still need to see some improvement from players on this team. I do think Swayman is going to get better as the season moves along, but I'm still not entirely sold on Boston just yet, which is why I'm putting them in decent. Again, at the end of this video, I'll look over this again, and then I'll try and make any more changes if I do have any. Buffalo Sabres up next, 11-11-2 for 24 points. They are 20th in the standings. Buffalo for me is going in decent too. I just got to be honest. I mean, like, I know we're getting 3 straight decents right here, but I feel like for me, like, Buffalo is just so inconsistent. They're still very inconsistent through this point in the season. They had like a streak where they went on and they won 3 games in the California road trip. Then this past week, in the final week of November, they got shut out twice. And I just still don't really know what to think about Buffalo. They're probably going to be around where they were last year, unless if they take off. Which, again, I said this in my power rankings yesterday, or actually today. I said this in my power rankings today because, that I thought that Buffalo, they were kind of a winning streak away from being in a playoff spot, and they're a losing streak away from being completely out of it. So right now, for me, they're around that point where they're like a 500 record. I got to put them in decent, at least as of right now. The Calgary Flames are a fun one. They are 13th in the NHL right now with a 12-9-4 record for 28 points. I will say this, though. They have lost 2 in a row. They are only 5-4-1 in their last 10. Their underlying numbers aren't particularly great. Gonna be honest, though, at least as of right now, I'm putting them in good. You could argue great, and I might change that after this. I have them in good when I did this before. But I really do think that with how they're playing this year, a lot of it is Dustin Wolf. A lot of it is how he has played this year and how Vladar has played this year. They have both been lights out. Wolf as a rookie, I think, is top 10 in save percentage right now. And for those who have been following me for a long time, you guys know that save percentage is like my favorite goalie stat to look at. He has been awesome for the Calgary Flames, and I think he's been a big part in why Calgary has been where they have this season. I think this continues? Probably not. I hate to say it, but probably not. I think for a team like them, I'm just not like terribly high on them, and I think that they're probably still going to end up probably selling at the trade deadline. I see how they've been losing a couple of games. Again, I thought about this with Philadelphia last year too, but they could easily turn it around and have my opinion changed. But overall, I think Calgary right now, they're playing good. When I do this in a month or two from now, it may not be that way. Next up, the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes have a record of 16-7-1 for 33 points. They are killing it. They are killing it right now. Again, I know those losses to Florida may have been a little bit concerning, but I just want to say, again, they are a team for me that, they are suffering a lot of goalie injuries as well. I think not having Anderson, Kochetkov just came back, but not having him for a while definitely hurts. And I think you're going to have games like that against a team like Florida, who I think is also playing good this year as well. So, again, I still think they're killing it. Seth Jarvis is having a great year. Marty Necas is second in points. Who would have thought of that after last season where there was so much talk in the offseason of him, maybe wanting to get traded from Carolina? It is crazy how that has turned into both of those players playing very good right now. So, Carolina, for me, they're killing it. Chicago. The Chicago Blackhawks, dead last in the NHL with an 8-15-2 record. They have been terrible. I think that I really can't put them anywhere else. I can't really justify putting them anywhere else except for terrible. Connor Bedard has picked it up recently, but he has been struggling. A lot of the players on this team have been struggling. Again, I said this last episode on the Nordcast and in my power rankings. I just feel like Chicago, they have no youth in their lineup besides Bedard, Alex Vlasic, Philip Kurashev, and Lucas Reichel. Those are the only 4 guys of the youth who are, up on the NHL roster. You look at a team like San Jose, who we're going to get into in a little bit here, but for, Chicago, they don't have those top end talent. Like, they don't have youth, it seems like, besides those four guys. With San Jose, they do. They have Celebrini, they have Smith, they have Zetterlund, they have Eklund. They have a young core that is coming up through the pipeline right now already. And with Chicago, it just seems like it's not really there. I understand that some of those guys are in the minors, but they have still been terrible, even though many thought they were going to get at least a little bit better with the ads that they brought in. The Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche have a record of 13-12-0 for 26 points. They are 18th in the NHL right now. I'm putting them a not so good. I'm gonna be honest. Like, again, you can make up excuses about the injuries and all of that. I get that, but again, every team has injuries. I think another problem with Colorado is 100% the goaltending. The goaltending has been a big minus. They're battling for a wild card spot, but they have a minus 12 goal differential, and they've allowed almost 100 goals at this point. There's only one other team who has done that so far this year. So, again, like, I think there are problems there. Will they be able to fix them? Probably. Yeah, I could see them fixing these issues, but I'm going to be honest, like, I look at how, them bringing in Scott Wedgwood is not particularly the greatest solution for me. We'll see where that goes. Again, that's something that we're going to have to follow up on. But for Colorado right now, with what I've seen so far, it has been not so good. Columbus is different. They are 11-9-3 for 25 points. They are 19th in the NHL right now. I'm going to be honest, I'm putting them in great. I'm gonna put Calgary in great too. I'll explain my reasonings for that. These are two teams, and I'm gonna follow up on it. These are two teams who were not expected to be where they are right now. They were not expected to be at this point. Calgary, again, they're 13th in the league. I already explained Calgary a little bit. But with Columbus, they're 19th. They're fighting for a wild card spot. They are only, I think, 4 points back of the Rangers, who are 2 points back of the Rangers. So, again, like, Columbus is playing really good right now, and so is Calgary, and it kind of makes you, it's like kind of an omen. It's actually great to see considering what they went through. But, again, these are two teams who are, they were not expected to be where they are right now, and I think if I didn't put them in grade, I'd be kind of crazy. Now, again, like, you may see this when I post it on Instagram, and you may think, oh, why the hell is he putting them in grade? But it's got to say, like, with how they've been so far, with what they were expected to be, I think it's great. Again, Monahan, I think he's had a great season. Marchenko's put up good numbers. Dmitry Voronkov's looked good too. Just overall, this whole team has looked incredible as well, and that's why I'm putting them in great. It'll look better when we get to the end of this, but I know right now it looks kind of weird. Dallas Stars. The Stars right now have a record of 16-8-0. They're still coming off of a pretty meh month of November, but I'm going to put them in great. I think they're towards the bottom half of great, though. I think that they have some problems that may need to be solved, like on that blue line. And on the road. On the road, they have not been particularly that good. They're only 500. So I think that needs to change as well. But overall, I think that Dallas has had a great season so far. There is some concerns that I do have with, like, Robertson and, again, the blue line. I still think that they are playing pretty well through the season so far. All right, next up, the Detroit Red Wings. They have been terrible for me. Listen, they are 10-11-3 for 23 points. They can't score to save their lives. They are bottom 5 in shots. They are on pace to have the worst penalty kill in NHL history. In NHL history. Not just this season, in the history of the league. Worse than the 1980 LA Kings. Shout out to the Wing Wheel podcast. I was listening to it, and that's what I got that from. But again, like, the struggles have really been there. They are so lucky to be where they are right now, but I'm going to be honest, like, they have been terrible. For me, they have been terrible, and I understand that there are going to be some Red Wings fans who may come on here and defend them a little bit, but I just look at the facts. Like, they have not been good. They haven't. They're lucky to be where they are right now because they are winning their games 2-1, 3-2. Again, like, they just cannot seem to score. It's brutal. Edmonton Oilers. I wouldn't say the Oilers are playing great. They have a record of 13-9-2 for 28 points. They've won 3 in a row. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. But I'm going to be honest, I still have some concerns with this team. Stuart Skinner is a concern. I'm sorry, he is. Their home record has been pretty weird. It hasn't been that good. Again, I think they're still playing good. When you have McDavid and Draisaitl, it's hard to not play good. But overall, I think that there are still some issues that I have, but I still think the Oilers are a good team. I'm not putting that past them whatsoever. They are still very good, but overall, there are still some concerns there for me. But still a good season so far. Next up, Florida Panthers. They are 15-9-1 this year for 31 points. They are 10th. I'm going to put them in playing great. I would put Dallas above them too. I'm gonna swap this around a little bit when I get to the point. But Florida, I think, is playing great. They are having a good year so far. Again, there are still some issues with this team. I don't think that their depth is what it used to be, and they are coming off of a 4-game skid they are coming off of, I think, a 5-game skid. So again, I think this is still a good team. I think this is a team that is going to be in contention for a Stanley Cup. Every team goes through struggles like they have, but overall, I think they are still playing great, even with that little skid they had. Los Angeles Kings, 14-8-3 for 31 points. They are 9th. They are just one above the Panthers, actually tied with Florida, which I think is fair to put them in doing great. I think LA, I haven't followed LA that much this year, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I still think the Kings are a good team. I like how, those guys have adjusted to that system that Hillard plays. I still do have a little bit of concerns. I feel like they aren't winning games like they should. They'll lose some games here and there to like San Jose 7-2 and bounce one to Chicago. Sometimes I feel like they play a little bit soft and lose some of those games. But again, somebody like Anze Kopitar is still leading this team in points. Alex Laferriere looks great too. Brandt Clarke looks awesome as well. Overall, LA has been playing great so far this year. Minnesota Wild. The Wild, for me, have been killing it. They have been killing it. They are at the top of killing it right now. They are 16-4-4 for 36 points. They are tied with the Winnipeg Jets and the New Jersey Devils, with the Washington Capitals just 1 point back. Just got to say, they have been absolutely killing it this year. Kaprizov looks like a Hart contender. He looks like he's going to win the Hart. If the season ended today, that's his Hart trophy. Gustafsson looks like an absolutely incredible goaltender. He could get a Vezina. Probably not, but, I think he'll be in the conversation. I want to point out, they have only lost once on the road in regulation. Once. We are in December. The next team to come closest is, I think, the Capitals, who have only lost twice. So again, there are a couple teams who are really good on the road. The Wild are one of them, and they have been absolutely incredible. They have only lost in regulation once, which I think is pretty remarkable. You're picking up points in those losses you're getting, and again, they don't have a lot of losses either. The next closest team with the regulation losses is a couple teams with 7. The Wild are pretty far ahead there in terms of how they've played. And again, you look at the numbers, they've played less games than everyone too. Everyone that's below them. So that is also pretty unreal too when you think about it. Next up then, the Montreal Canadiens. We're pretty much at the halfway mark of this list. Montreal they're on the brink of terrible and not so good. I'm going to put them in not so good for now. They are second last in the NHL currently. Again, I don't think that for me, I saw them being how they were, so I'm not, too concerned with how they've been playing. I do think that Habs fans wanted them to get better, but I just don't think they haven't been that good. Again, you could argue terrible. I may move them down to terrible when I get through the rest of this list, but at least as of right now, I just think Montreal has not been so good this year. Again, I like how Caulfield's played. I like how Suzuki's been. I like Lane Hudson and how he's been offensively, but I still think there's a lot of ways to go before this team is where I think they should be, to be honest. Nashville Predators. The Predators are here. Actually, I'm going to put them right here. They have been terrible. Without a doubt, for me, they have been terrible. And you cannot sit here and tell me otherwise. They've started the rebuilding process. In the month of November, they had, I think, a 4, 5, and 6 record. You lost 11 games in November. I don't understand how you can put them anywhere else. They have been terrible. They have been absolutely terrible. Everybody's been struggling. I don't know what it is either. It's so weird. They look like they have the pieces to go far and be at least a playoff team. They can't win games. It's pretty unreal. They have the least amount of wins in the entire NHL, and they are third worst. So the teams below them have more wins. Like it's wild. And again, they've already started the rebuilding process. They traded Scott Wedgwood a couple days ago. They traded Tomasino a couple days ago as well. It really has started in Nashville, and it's pretty sad to think that this team was, they were going to be like a playoff team, maybe a cup contender, and now it seems like, nope, they're not going to be like that. So we'll see where it goes from here. Again, there is time for them to turn this around and pull a St. Louis Blues, but again, it needs to happen soon. New Jersey Devils, they have been killing it for me. The Devils have been great. Again, I still have some concerns with this team. I think that the way they hold on the leads hasn't been particularly great. But again, they killed it last night against the Rangers. I think that overall they have looked good this year. So again, they're killing it, and they are tied for first in the NHL. Jack Hughes looks good. Bratt looks good. Markstrom looks like your finally you got a goalie in net there. So again, they've been killing it. There's really nothing much else to say for me there. The New York Islanders, I said this in my power rankings, it's like Groundhog Day when you watch this team. Again, they are 23rd, 9, 10, and 6 for 24 points. I'm putting them here, though. The amount of third period leads this team has blown is absolutely astronomical. They have blown a third period lead 9 times this season. 9 times! We are in December. 9 times out of 25 games is that's almost like half of your games. That's crazy. And I still think that there is some real discontent between Patrick Waugh and Lou Lamoriello. There have been some real disagreements with how this roster is put together. And I think that when we get into the latter half and maybe even the end of the season, we're going to see something boil over between him and Lamoriello. Because it's pretty clear there are some major disagreements with this team. So, yeah, I'm putting the Islanders in terrible. There are going to be teams who are below them that are going to be in, like, not so good. But I'm going to be honest, like, with the way they have played this year, I think that they are deserving to be in terrible through this point in the season. Next up, the New York Rangers. This is tomorrow's video. That I'm going to talk about the Rangers. They have a 13, 10, and 1 record for 27 points. They are 14th in the NHL right now. They're going here, though. They're going in not so good. Again, they have above 500. They're in a playoff spot, I think, or they're battling for a playoff spot. They're in not so good for me. I just don't like what I've seen. Against 500 teams, they are 3-9-1. Against teams who are have an above 500 record and are in a playoff spot, you've only have 3 wins. That is not good enough. Change needs to happen. Chris Drury can't sit back and say, oh yeah, this is what I'm rolling with. You can't. You can't sit here and say that this is okay. They are 4-6-1, 4-6-0 in their last 10. Had there not have been that win to Montreal where they scored with 12 seconds left, and by the way, Montreal's in the same column as them. They're not much better than Montreal. And I think we're talking a completely different story here. We're talking 7 straight losses, I think. So, again, It needs to improve. It needs to get better. I don't know if you make changes. I don't know if it's something in the locker room. I don't know if you let go of Peter Laviolette. But something has to change with this New York Rangers team for things to get better. The Ottawa Senators. The Senators are 29th in the NHL. 10, 12, and 2 for 22 points. I'm going to put them in not so good for me as of right now. I just think that, again, you could argue them and Montreal and terrible, but I think Ottawa still has some positives to their game. That November, though, was pretty brutal, being completely honest. It was a pretty brutal month. It again, like it's always a brutal month in Ottawa. They could really use points right now. Like, again, this is a team that we envisioned maybe could come close to a playoff spot. They're fourth worst in the NHL right now. I don't know what it is. I seriously don't know what it is with the Ottawa Senators that's causing this. But at least as of right now, it hasn't been that good this year for them. And the reason why, I think they can come back from this. Their goal differential is only -5. They've lost a lot of really close games. And they've lost a lot of games to really good teams, too. A lot of the teams that they've been playing have been above the playoff line. But again, you go through that California road trip, you only get 3 of 6 points. You need at least 5. At least 4 or 5 of those points. Again, I know you're playing 2 teams you should be beating, and you couldn't beat one of them. I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. Ottawa's on a big road trip, though, because they aren't at home for a little bit after, I think, the middle of December, because the World Juniors are going on between then, and they're on the road. So, again, with the Senators, we'll see where they go from here. They need a really good December. They need a good December to get themselves back on the map. Otherwise, I think that this season might be another one to waste, to be honest. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers, 12-10-3 for 27 points. They are 15th right now. They are 7-2-1 in their last 10. They have really improved. They have improved from a really bad start and have now put themselves in a pretty good situation. Guys like Alexei Kolosov and Ivan Fedotov have come out of nowhere and have played really well. Travis Konechny had 20 points in the month of November. Matvei Michkov has, I think, 3 overtime winners, is leading in the Calder race right now. He has looked awesome. For me, I think they're going good. I think they're going good. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that I'll put them below Edmonton. I don't think that they're better than Edmonton, but I think that you look in terms of what you wanted to see from this team and how they started off, I think they're playing good. I'm just going to be honest. I think they're playing pretty good. I like how they have been. So we'll see where it goes from here. Again, I would rather see them crash and burn and get a high draft pick. I'm not too keen on seeing them go to, come close to the playoff line again. I like how they're playing, but I kind of want to see a high draft pick. I never thought I'd say that. Next up, the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins are at a 10-12-4 record for 24 points. They are 4-4-2 in their last 10. They've actually won 3 in a row, but I'm going to put them in not so good. They're going right here. I think Pittsburgh has not been that great through this year so far. Keep in mind how I said that Colorado was coming close to allow 100 goals this season. Actually, they are 3rd worst in goals allowed. Pittsburgh is number 1 with 100. 100 in December. They are the only team to be there so far. They have allowed the most goals of any team. It has been a brutal season so far for them. They're lucky to be close to 500. I don't think that continues, though. They'll likely end up selling some of their players, and then things will go from there, and we'll see where the team aligns up then. But overall, I think that Pittsburgh has not had that good of a year. I don't think I'm surprising anyone by saying that either, to be honest. Next up, the San Jose Sharks. I'm going to put them in decent. And hear me out. Hear me out. For how this team was last year, at December 3rd, I think they only had 3 or 4 wins. They have almost 10. Macklin Celebrini has looked awesome. Mikael Granlund has looked awesome. Fabian Zetterlund has looked good. Again, this is a team that is not a cup contender. This is a team that is not a playoff. I shouldn't even say cup. They're a team that's not a playoff team. But I think with how they were last year and seeing how this team has played down the stretch, I think it's decent. I think it's decent how they played. I can't help but be happy with how this team has been so far this year. So, again, they're in the same realm as Anaheim. They're actually tied with Anaheim for points. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with putting them in decent, at least as of right now. I'm perfectly fine with it. Seattle Kraken, not so good. It has not been that good of a year for Seattle. Again, they lose 2 in a row to the Sharks. I think they allowed like 12 goals in those 2 games. Pretty brutal. Again, it just seems like things aren't getting better. Joey Dagger looks good, but I still am not finding any consistency with this team. They're not particularly consistent on my part. I think that they need to get more consistent before I am sold on them. But again, we'll see where that goes from here. I don't know. Honestly. Yeah, with Seattle, I'm still kind of up in the blue a little bit. St. Louis Blues, 11-12-2 for 24 points. They are 21st in the NHL. I'm going to put them in decent as well. I'm going to put them at the top of decent because I think that it's still too early with the Montgomery era for me to put them in here. But I think that they've been decent through the better half of this year. The fact that with Drew Bannister they really struggled, they are now 1 game below 500. I think that's solid. I think that I have to put them in that area alongside Buffalo and the Ducks, which is where they're kind of around. Again, I know I put the Islanders in them because they're right there, but the Islanders are different. I think the Blues, with Montgomery, they'll get that boost back into battling for a playoff spot. Again, do I think they will get into a playoff spot? Probably not. Again, they have 3 teams in the Central who are above them right now. Actually, 4 teams. I'm sorry. But again, Colorado isn't really they aren't looking that great, which is why they're below them. So again, I could really see possibly the Blues getting above the Avalanche and into a playoff spot. Wouldn't rule it out. Tampa, 12-9-2 for 26 points. They're 17th. I have my concerns, but I think they're playing good. I think for right now, you got to be at least a little bit happy with how they've been so far. Recently, maybe not, but I think that through so far this year, they had a very good October, which is why this month of November hasn't been that great. But I would say that for right now, Tampa's played good. I'll take it, to be honest with you. Toronto Maple Leafs are going in great. I'm going to be honest. You may think that, oh, no, Nordic, they're not that great. I just got to say, you look in terms of how this team has injuries. They are missing Matthew Nyes, David Kampf, Cal Yarncrook, among notable names as well. Austin Matthews is out for a little bit there. He's back now. They had guys like Fraser Mitten, Nikita Grabankin, Alex Steeves, Alex Nylander all in the lineup. Even I think Jake McCabe's injured too. And they're still top 10 in the NHL. They are 8-2 in their last 10. I'll take that. And again, I understand the fact that they have only played 4 games in the last week of November. This month of December is going to be a month where they get worked. But I think for right now, they're in great for me personally. Utah, I think is going at Utah's had their struggles. For me, again, I have them in not so good on my current list, but I look at it now. I'm going to put them at the bottom of decent. They are teetering with not so good there, though. They might go right here. I think that Utah has had their real positives. Vejmelka's looked really good. I think Cooley has looked great, too. But there are still some negatives, and this team has become pretty clear that they're not ready to make the playoffs just yet. And as well as that, too, they dealt with injuries, so I'm not really, too overreacting about it. I'm not worried about, how this team has been. Again, I thought maybe they could make it, but it's looking like probably not. But I'm okay with that, to be honest with you guys. Vancouver is going in great. I think they have played great this season. I gotta say, with the amount of injuries they've had and guys who have left the team, they are 10-2 on the road, which is pretty wild. They do have a negative home record though, which is a little bit concerning. Again, the goalies have been. Seeloff's has not been that great. Lankinen, I thought's been good, though. He's put up good numbers with Demko being out. So, with Vancouver, I'm not entirely sold on them, but I think they are playing great as of right now. Vegas, kind of the same thing. I'm going to be honest. They're also in great for me. I'm going to need to switch this around a little bit, but I think that they are playing great, too. I think that Vegas, they have my concerns as well. They're 15-7-3. I didn't like how Samsonov played last year, but he's winning games. Vegas is scoring. Eichel's playing great. they're playing well. I think that's fair enough. These last two teams I'm going to bunch up together because I think they're both going and killing it right now, and that is the Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals. First off, we'll start off with Washington, 17-6-1 for 35 points. They are 7-2-1 in their last 10. They have won 4 in a row. I just got to say that they have been awesome for me. They have been killing it. McMichael's looked good. Strome's looked good. Thompson and Lindgren have looked good. Carlson looks like that great offensive defenseman we know him as. Ovechkin was killing it before the injury. I think he's going to come back and kill it too. Overall, this is a very good team. This is a team that proved me wrong. To be dead honest, they proved me wrong. I think they are killing it as of right now. And same with Winnipeg. Listen, I understand they've lost 3 in a row. I understand that, but if you told me that the Winnipeg Jets would be 18-7 at the December mark and they would have only lost once at home, I'd be impressed. So that is what I'm rolling with as of right now. I'm going to make a few changes and kind of just stare at this for a little bit. I will be right back. Alright, after looking at this for a little bit, I could really only justify one change, and that's moving Columbus and Calgary down to playing good. I gotta be honest, you look in turn, again, I understand that they aren't where they expected to be, but they aren't, top 5 in the league. They aren't, playing incredible. They're still teetering with the playoffs, and I look at all the teams that are in playing great. I can't justify putting, I'm gonna move things around here a little bit. I can't justify putting those two teams in playing good. I think everything else I'm fine with. Again, you could make changes like this. You can make changes like this. I totally get it. But I'm pretty much fine with how I have every team ranked here. It's evenly ranked too, which I think is perfectly fine. You have your teams who are playing, who are killing it, the top 5 in the league. You have the teams who are playing great, which is the other top 5 or 6. You have the teams who are, they're in the middle, they're playing good. Then you have the teams who have been, they're okay, and the teams that haven't been so good, and then the teams that have been terrible. I think that's completely fair. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, but this is how I think every team has done so far this year. So that'll do it for this edition of the Tier Rank Tuesday. Thank you guys very much for watching. Again, I do want to say this. Comment down some suggestions below on things you guys think I should tier rank. I know a lot of people do like to watch these videos every Tuesday, and I really do appreciate that with how the support has been. But if you guys have something specific you want me to tier rank in next Tier Rank Tuesday, let me know down below. But anyways, that'll do it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like. Please subscribe down below. I would greatly appreciate that. And comment your thoughts. Comment what I got right, what I got wrong. Just let me know your thoughts down below. But that'll do it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.